Welcome to the Your First Deal
Hello.
workshop.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still in my gym clothes, so nobody mind. I had to go to the gym, food shop, and then run home.
Well, no,
But
I really appreciate you hopping on for a few. So I'll let you
yes,
take it from the top. I'll let you know this is a smaller class than we're used to. We usually have closer to 200 people here sometimes, but this is a smaller class, which I love because it helps to be more intimate. But why don't you jump right in, share your journey, your experience, where you started, what you did before real estate, where you are now, and they want to know some sexy stuff too. Like, let's talk about the numbers you're putting up as well. You and your team, they want to know like that kind of stuff. What's possible for them?
yeah, definitely. So what I'm gonna do is walk you guys through my journey briefly and like how I started, and then coaching and where I'm at now. So I started in 20, is it 2021? Yeah. 2019. So I'm gonna be 3 years in the game. October 3rd of this year, it'll be a full 3 years. When I started, I was working a full-time job in corporate America. I was in Wall Street working commission jobs, sales, straight sales, and I had no idea what wholesaling was. And I had went to an event, and then from that event, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad first. I went to an event. I got to know what wholesale. I just needed to know the basics. I was like, okay, this is a thing that people do. And I went back home and I started cold calling. So a lot of people think, oh, you can't have a full time job and do this. I personally, a lot of people started different ways. I personally did it that way. I was working my 9 to 5, but I also, and now you guys, most of you work from home. I asked for permission to work from home. I made up some excuse. I got to work from home. And at that time, I had my computers working from home and my laptop cold calling. So I knew I can do my work for the business I was working for. And then I just started cold calling and ramming the phones and doing what I had to do consistently. So I got to a point, it took me about 4 months to close my first deal. So from October to January, I closed my first deal. Then once I closed my first deal, I'm like, all right, it's game on because now I know I can close my second deal. By the time I started closing deals, I was doing about 30 to 40,000 a month. April came around 2020, right? Was it 2020? No. Are we in the right year? When did I meet you, Domar?
We met 2019.
So
2020, we
then
were in Puerto Rico together.
yes. So 2018 I started, and 2019, April 2019, this was like 3 months after I had closed my first deal. Now I have like 2 or 3 months doing 20, 30,000, small margins on my contracts. I go to another event. My first event, I invested $5,000 in, and I learned what wholesaling was. Now this event, I invested another 5,000, and I started learning, and it was Domar's group. I started learning, okay, like these are the kinks of it. Like this is how you grow this. Because now I'm like, all right, I know how to make money out of it, but now how do I grow this into an actual business? Then with Domar's group, I ended up investing another 25,000 for the 6 month mentorship they had, and that was the best investment I made because a month later I started doing six figures in my company. So when I started, it was just myself back in October 2018. I had a partner at that time, and I was cold calling, and we hired a virtual assistant. Then eventually by the time I got to Domar, we started scaling. We had some people working on commission, and we just learned how to try to grow a business. So it depends on what you're coming into the game to. I knew that once I knew how to do deals, I'm like, I have to grow a business out of this because I'm not going back to corporate. I already knew that. I believed in it. So ever since then, now where we're at in 2021, I have a team of about 19 people. 15 of those people all reside in the Philippines. And in the Philippines, we have cold callers, SMS marketers, transaction coordinator, my virtual assistant who basically books even my doctor's appointments and things for my son because I'm literally all over the place all day. And then in-house, I have acquisitions. One acquisition is a disposition, and two dispositions. One is a JV dispo and disposition, myself and operations manager. So I got into that place to tell you guys that you're gonna start small, but once you invest, and just not even education, like Domar was in my beginning. Now, like Domar said, this year alone, I'm close to almost 100K just in investing in my business now, education, masterminds, and just trying to grow the business. Because along the way, it's not people say it's like a shortcut. Yes, it's a shortcut, but it's more so for me. It's like if I can, it's going to take me 3 years to figure out how to do 6 figures. I want to talk to the person who did 6 figures already. And it took him 5 years, but show me the ropes so I know what mistakes you made. I'm going to make mistakes too, but I'll avoid the mistakes you made and I'll pay for that type of education. Right. And a lot of things that I say to myself is like, that's what really, really helped me get to the level that I've gotten to today. And I'm not nowhere near where I want to be, but we're getting to a point where there's momentum in the business, right? We look at 6 figure months regularly. Every other month we're doing 6 figures. If not, it's 80,000, 90. But it's just people hear those numbers and they're like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. Yeah, that's also a lot of work. Because again, I'm trying to build an empire here. So it's just like the amount of work that goes into it. And as you go scaling, there's different things that you're going to learn, right? You're going to learn how to run a team, leadership, how to run KPIs, but all that stuff is in the long run. Now, where you guys are at right now is the perfect place to start, whether you have a full-time job, whether you have no job, and any position that you start in, it doesn't matter where you are, because the one thing that you need to remember is going to be all mindset. Along my entire journey, it was mindset and knowing that a lot of people in the world pay to go to college. And this is me, and I know some people get offended with this, but they go and they pay for college and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go work for somebody else, right? My knowledge is I'm going to pay millionaires who probably didn't go to college to teach me how to do the game. So that's kind of like how I look at things, right? So again, I'm not knocking college. I know people love college and stuff like that. That wasn't the route I chose, but it doesn't matter where you at, whether you went to college or not. You're in the right seat right now. And what I'll tell you is, when I was on my journey, if you don't feel uncomfortable going to sleep at night, and if you don't have anxiety once you start this business, then you're taking it too easy. Your stomach should be hurting, and it's okay to have sleepless nights because the unknown is scary. But you have to understand that while you're walking through that path, the end is all worth it. It's so worth it. So in the beginning, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I'm like, I don't know what I just got myself into, but I'm just cold calling and getting cursed out all day. But it's cool. Like, we're going to keep figuring it out. And as you go doing that, you start building a callus around your mind. And you're like, it's okay. This person doesn't know me. And, sometimes there's people, I'm more of an extrovert. There's some people that are introverts. And when I started the business, one of the girls who are still in the business with me, she was an introvert, and she would stand in front of the mirror and cold call and look at herself and see how red she would get. So now when you guys go into this, it's okay. They don't bite. They don't know you. They don't know your address. Like, they're not going to do anything but hang up and curse you out sometimes, but that's cool. Right. So I hope you guys have some questions for me. And yeah, so I'm in 3 different markets. I know I'm all over the place. This is how my brain works. I'm in 3 different markets virtually. So I don't go door to door and knock. And that's good. At first I did, but I virtually do this from New Jersey and Edgewater, in PA, Maryland, and Trenton, New Jersey. So those are my 3 markets. And we do this every single day. We just lock up deals over the phone, strictly virtual. Sometimes I have to drive over there just if it's like a really good one. Like the other day, I drove Saturday and I spent the entire day in Philly, but it was because this lady had 8 properties. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take this one. So I went over there for that. I ended up getting all 8 of her properties. And then I came back with 8 contracts. That's the only reason I took that over, because I'm like, this has to be like in person. It's a 2-hour drive. That's not bad. I can do it. But you'll get to a level where you start understanding what the wholesaling process is, and it gives you so much endless opportunities. I started as a wholesaler, just strictly selling to everybody. And now, I have a business that operates whether I'm here or on vacation. It's still operating. Obviously, there's still things that we're growing and trying to do and become better at. So one day I can fully take myself out, but I just don't wholesale everything now. Now I'm a little greedy. I want to keep stuff for myself. So when I know everybody wants it, I'm like, all right, that's the one I'm going to buy. So I keep properties for myself as well. I flip some properties, some I keep as rentals. But it all comes with time, right? And one thing I do want to tell you guys too, in my journey that I wish I learned was, don't get the shiny object syndrome. Right now, just learn how to wholesale. Learn how to wholesale to the best of your ability, and then go to the next step. I had the shiny object syndrome where I wanted to touch and do everything and open multiple. And you think it's okay. Well, most of us are visionaries on this call, but just focus on one thing. Focus on getting yourself educated in what you're doing. And when you get that first deal, invest that back into education and back into your business, because that's what's going to help you scale and get to the point that you have to get to. And yeah, you guys have any questions for me? I know I'm like talking a lot.
Man, that was good stuff. You guys like this so far? Let me see in the chat real quick if you're enjoying the share, the story of her journey, her experience. And I love every time Ashley speaks to our community or coaches because the students can't help but be empowered and like motivated. Like they want to run through walls. She's no more smarter than any of you. I'm no more smarter. Sharon, no more smarter than any of you. We just made decisions. We were intentional about our decisions and we took massive, massive, massive action. We believed in ourselves enough and we took chances and we bet on ourselves. So if anyone has any questions or wants to chat with Ashley live right now, I'd love for you to share it in the chat. Let us know if you want to chat live with her, have any questions. But while you're sharing that in the chat, Ashley, why don't you talk about your revenue last month or the month before? Give them a glimpse of what's possible for them.
Yeah, so last month was what? I don't know my dates anymore. It's August, right? We're in September.
Yep.
So in August we did, I believe it was like 93,000 for the month, but this month we're already on pace for 150 because we last week alone we did 80 something. So I know this month and we're pushing. So that's one of the things, right? After you get to the point where you start making six figures in your business or even 20,000 or 50,000, whatever you're making in your business, you're going to start focusing on how do I build consistency, right? So there's a different level for every stage that you go through in business. Right now, when you start as a solopreneur and it's by yourself and you're calling, the only thing you should focus on is I need to get a contract, right? I need to get a contract. And once you get that first contract and that first contract closes, then you reinvest into your education. And you're like, now I need to take this to the next level. How do I get 5 of these a month? Now, how do I get 10 of these a month? And now I need a team. So then that becomes a different level of the business. So yeah, last month was pretty good for us. We missed it by 7,000 or 100K, but it was all right. I let them rock because I'm like, next month I roll it over. I'm like, now we got to do twice that. It has to be 114, but we are on pace for 150. So the team is making it up.
Hold on, you about to make how much this month on what's the potential profit?
150. Oh, for the month.
Oh my God.
Your buttons are funny.
Dang. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you guys. Can any of you imagine this possibility for yourselves right now? Can any of you imagine that possibility right now? Because some people, when we say things like, actually, when we tell them you can make $10,000 a deal, $20,000 sometimes, even more, some people can't even wrap their minds around that possibility. And so what I want to know right now, can you all even visualize making this kind of money? She once was a beginner just like all of you. And she scaled this business rather quickly to where it is today.
And Keem, I think I said his name right. He had a question. He said, Ashley, what's the most challenging issue that came up when you started? A lot. But I'll tell you this much. I come from where all of you come from. I'm from the hood. Like I partied, I did all of that. And when I entered this world, the hardest thing for me to do was to understand that not everybody is going to understand you. 99% your family is going to go against you because they're going to think you're crazy. Everybody, like, right? At that point, when I started entering this business, I wasn't doing bad. I was in sales. I did commission paying jobs. They paid me 25,000 in salary a year, and then the rest was straight commission. So I was making six figures a year just on commission. But my mom was panicking. She's like, you're going to walk away from this job that you've been there 5 years and they give you benefits and they give you this. And I'm like, yeah. After I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, she didn't understand, but I didn't need her to understand because I was like, Mom, if you trust me, you got to trust that I could do this. Like there's sometimes that she's like, whatever, like I'm just going to pray and do whatever you have to do. But not everyone is going to be like that. I lost friends along the way. I lost so many things along the way. And that's where you have to get comfortable with it because I wish someone in the beginning would have told me that because it was just like this anxiety where I'm like, wow, like, but that's my friend. Yes, but they don't understand what you're trying to do. And it doesn't make them a bad person. You're just on two different paths. Right. And most of us grow up with people that are around us and like the things that they're trying to do. Like even back then, like they were always trying to go to the bars and do this. And we're all in our 20s. So it's what you're supposed to do. But for me, I was sitting in an apartment while all my friends were going out to 9 a.m. bangers and all these parties. And I'm sitting at home just trying to figure out how I'm going to get a deal. Right. So it becomes a different lifestyle because you're going to sit at that desk that some days you won't even eat but you're trying to crack a code. And once you crack it, people are going to be like, okay, well, he's not that crazy. He's a little crazy, but there's something there he's trying to do. And now all those people that doubted me, that thought that I was crazy, they look and they're like, oh shit, like she wasn't crazy. She was just trying to figure something out. And of course, you'll always want to give people game and try to put people on, but don't drive yourself. And it's more me because I'm such a giving person, right? I don't drive myself crazy trying to bring everybody with me now, right? Because everybody can't go to where you're going. They have to see that for themselves the same way you got to see that for yourself, and that's okay. And it doesn't make you a bad person, and people will feel away and people are going to talk shit, but you got to remember what you're doing it for, and you have a purpose and a why. And until you don't figure out what your why is, you're always going to be trying to figure out, oh, why am I doing this? Right. And again, it is going to be dark times. Right now, most of you are going to get off of this call and you're going to be so motivated for the next 3 to 5 days. Motivation dies. Discipline is what's going to get you where you need to get to. When you're not motivated to do shit, you go and you get up and you do what you got to do. Like for myself, today I had to go to the gym at like 7 in the morning. I had to go running. I'm on 75 hard. And then I had to go back to the gym at 11 a.m. My body was tore up because yesterday I did a 5K. I didn't want to do it, but the discipline kicked in because it's like I have a goal. I know what I want and I know what my why is. And no matter what happens and how I feel, it's just a feeling. I just got to keep going. And after I'm there, it goes away. So don't depend on motivation because a lot of you, again, and I say this with the best and purest intentions, a lot of you are so motivated right now that you think you could take over the world. Motivation will die in the next 3 to 5 days. Discipline has to kick in. The discipline for you to be like, I said that I'm going to sit here every single day and ram those phones, and start giving yourself numbers. Say, I'm going to make X amount of calls tomorrow and X amount of calls on Tuesday and X amount of calls on Wednesday. If you consistently do the same thing every single day for 90 days, I guarantee you will see some sort of results. But you have to, it just can't be like, well, today I just don't feel like it, but tomorrow I will. It's raining. I don't know. Listen, rain, snow, or sleet, I still go outside and I run. And even though I'm like, fuck it, I got to do this. I'm sorry for cursing, but I'm like, I got to do what I got to do. Right. So everybody just make sure, do not rely on motivation. Motivation is just a feeling. Discipline is what's going to get you to the finish line.
Thank you,